Hey everybody, today on Henry's HowTos, I'm going to show you how to make Persian Gaz. Basically, this is a pistachio nougat. Let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so to make Gaz, it's very straightforward and simple. Just like any other sugar confectionery, you need to make sure you have everything ready before you start. So first thing we're going to do is determine what we're going to put it into. In my case, I'm just going to use this mini muffin tray like this, just so I have little perfect portions. You can just use a rectangular tray, probably about an 8x8, and then just cut it into rectangles after. So that's just up to you. Now no matter what you do, first thing you need to do is grease it. So I've just got some butter here, and all we need to do is just grease every single one of these. Now if you are doing just a rectangle tray, this is probably easier. But give each of them a good amount of grease. So I'm just using butter. If you don't want to use butter, you can just use a cooking spray, nothing wrong with that. Alright, so once you're done with greasing, next thing we need to do is just dust this with some flour. Now this is just plain flour, and this just prevents it sticking. It's pretty much just like making a souffle. You grease it, then you flour it. So we'll start by actually making our sugar component now. So just into a small pot, I'm going to start by adding in 2.5 cups of white sugar. To this I'm just going to add a pinch of salt to enhance the flavour, 1 tablespoon of rose water, half a cup of cold water, and I'm also going to add in 2 cups of glucose syrup. Now you can just use corn syrup, which is pretty much the same thing. Now to this we're going to clip in the candy thermometer, because we need to control the temperature of this. And we'll turn the heat on, just on a low to medium heat. And we'll let that cook there while we move on with the rest. Alright, so what I've got in front of me here is 3 egg whites. Now these are at room temperature. That's very important when you're whisking egg whites. Now to help them whisk, I'm just going to add just a little pinch of salt. And just about 1/8 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. That also helps it. And we're just going to whisk this on a high speed until we have soft peaks. So basically we want something like that. As you can see, the peaks are stuck on the beaters here perfectly, which is what we want. So we'll leave that there for now and go back to our stove. So guys, essentially we want the temperature of this syrup to hit the hard crack stage. That's anywhere around 290 to about 300 Fahrenheit. But once it hits the soft crack, which is around 270, we're going to take some of this and put it into our egg white mixture, just to gradually increase the temperature. And I obviously don't need to tell you, don't actually touch it, and don't get any of it on you. Make sure you're using long wooden spoons or anything to touch this. Alright guys, so we're just at 260 Fahrenheit now, so I'm just going to ladle 1 scoop out, and place it straight into our egg white mixture. And we'll just whisk this quickly. Just on a low speed. Just to incorporate that temperature into it. Just like that. So basically what we're going to do now is let the sugar reach 300 Fahrenheit, which is the hard crack stage. Now do be very careful, because once this hits about 290, even if you turn the heat off, it's going to keep on rising. So once we get to 290, I'm just going to turn it off. Alright, so we're at 290 now, so I've just turned the heat off. Now moving very quickly, but also carefully. We're going to turn our whisk on first, and carefully pour this in. Scraping the sides too to get all this off. So once you've mixed that in, we're going to add in 1 cup of pistachios. They're just whole. And mix those through as well. Alright, so once you've mixed that in raw and you're happy with it, now this is still very hot, so be careful not to touch it. And guys, all I'm going to do is carefully pour it into each of these. Now, as I did say, it is easiest to do it in a rectangle one, but this way just makes it more presentable. So what I'm going to do now is put this into the fridge, and we're going to let it set in there. It'll just speed things up a lot. Okay, so it's been 2 hours. I've just taken it out of the fridge. As you can see, they're nice and rock hard. So what we're going to do is leave these at room temperature now, let them warm up a bit, then we'll take it out of the pan. Alright guys, so after letting them come to room temperature, I've left these for about half an hour now. You should be able to easily get them out. If you are struggling, guys, just use a very sharp knife. All you want to do is pretty much just go around it, and they'll come out just like that. But the whole reason why I did them this shape is so they're all the same. In the restaurant industry, it's just much nicer and presentable like that. As you can see, a knife easily goes through it. And just look at how beautiful that is. So guys, that's all there is to it. Now storage wise, keep them in the fridge. Just keep as many as you want out at room temperature. Now in my case here, the climate's pretty cold right now, so you can keep them outside. Now guys, if you did want to keep them outside, put some flour into a container and then place them with the flour. This will stop them from sticking to each other. If you are putting them into the fridge together, do the same thing. Once you've got them all in there, make sure they're liberally covered in flour, just so they don't melt and start sticking to each other. Just like that. And there we have it guys. So as I said, if you are in a cooler climate, then you can try keeping it at room temperature. Just see how you go. If you find they're warping or changing or melting, then put them into the fridge. But that's all there is to it. And that's the inside of one right there. Just look at how beautiful that is. Now variation wise, I've seen this made so many different ways. Different shapes, different marks. I've seen it made with saffron as well. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I hope you like that guys. Please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, Snapchat and Instagram. If you've got any comments or suggestions, just leave them at the bottom and I'll see you all next time.